You are looking at a miracle. By all accounts, I'm not supposed to be alive right now. I was against the vaccine, and I was a very healthy gym teacher, running around for 6 hours a day playing all kind of sports with my students, and then sometimes in the evenings and on weekends with my barber and my brother-in-law, we would go to Planet Fitness and work out. They would be my guest. So by all accounts, everything was good. And I was taking my herbs and my vitamins, but not the vaccine. And one day I tested positive, and about 2 days later, in front of my wife and my son in the kitchen, helping my son with his homework, I did something like the Harlem Shake, and my wife was like, "How are you standing up, falling asleep? Is that what you're doing?" And I was like, "Nah." Bam! I fell on my face. The EMS, whatever they call it, they came and asked me who the president was, my name, and all that stuff. Checked me out real quick and said I was okay. But 2 days later, I went unconscious or semi-conscious, like they say. My brother-in-law was right in front of my face, and I couldn't even. I don't recall that to this day. I recall going outside, it being real cold, and I climbed back up the stairs. I usually run up the 3 flights of stairs with no problem. This time I'm stopping at every level, sweating and huffing and puffing. So come to find out, my lungs were damaged 70%. I go in the hospital semi-conscious. Had a weird experience, near-death experience. To make a long story short, because I have chronicled this in a small book and elsewhere on the internet, so you can check it out there. But it was like I was hanging on to a silhouette, silhouette of a man, and I was about to slip back. And I had some temptations that was calling me to leave this place and go to heaven and see my family and who were happy partying. And I saw some other things. I saw my wife and my son on another side. They were crying, holding hands and stuff. I was in the dark, but I was in the hospital when this happened. Very weird stuff, very weird. But it's much more elaborate than this, much more detailed. But anyway, you know, I was slipping, and I said to myself, if I even fall asleep or start to dream, I might just. So I knew not to do that, thank God. And I prayed, and God said some things to me about using my talents even more once He lets me stay here to serve Him. And I grabbed onto his arm, and he grabbed me, and he pulled me up, and the darkness went away because I was only seeing darkness for the most part. And then came into light, and things had happened to me, like I couldn't taste. I couldn't really. It wasn't because of COVID per se, but before I went into the hospital, when I was sleeping, I was biting down on my whole tongue. So I had like a line around my whole tongue. And in the hospital, when they would give me food, it would sting. And I couldn't eat. I had to eat very bland stuff, plain oatmeal and bread and pudding and anything with a spice in it, pepper, anything, salt. I couldn't eat it. I had lost a lot of weight in the hospital. Then my wife sent me something saying that you're supposed to eat when you have COVID. And I worked out a lot. The nurses were great. The nurses were counseling me, and I was counseling the nurses. There was people dying in my room. They were leaving them there. All kind of weird stuff going on. Nurses were losing their patients. They were heartbroken. They would disappear. They would cry. I was in isolation. I was in a room we couldn't get out of in an old building of the hospital where one time a draft hit me and stuff on the neck and in my chest, and I could hardly talk. And I was screaming and yelling the way I could for some tea and honey and Robitussin. Some of the nurses, they act like they know what I was talking about. You know, I learned that I had to fight. I had to fight to get out the bed so I could exercise, you know, because they would leave you in the bed sometimes. And I started to get bed sores, and I said, oh no, I'm out. I'm getting out. And I started, you know, putting on music and holding on with one hand and dancing and leg lifting and all kind of little stuff just to make sure, because I was losing my leg muscles and everything. And they were vegetables. There was nothing but vegetables in there. And they had me in the corner of this building and not giving me adequate care and leaving me like I was a vegetable. But I could talk. Those people couldn't talk. And those people were on ventilators and stuff. But I knew one thing. It was funny. Before I leave, I'm going to say this. When I was in the driveway the day the ambulance was coming and they thought I was unconscious totally, I was in the wheelchair and they're getting ready to put me on the ambulance. And I heard the guy say, the EMS guy say, do we resuscitate, ventilate, or oxygen? And I raised my hand like this, said, oxygen, oxygen. And he said, oh, you heard that. They was not putting me on that ventilator. They had me on 3 oxygens in there until like my lungs started coming because my lungs were damaged partially. You know, 70% oxygen I went in with. I got horror stories, but I'm here. You know what I'm saying? And I'm glad to be here. And I just got a whole new outlook on life. And, you know, my message to you would be like, every day is a blessing. Take your talents and gifts and go hard, especially if they help other people. That's like going hard for God. You know, I'm going hard for God. I'm going hard for my people. I'm going hard for good people. And I'm going hard for my family and myself. You got to go hard. And God told me, I'm giving you a double portion now, like all the strength. Like he said that what I was doing wrong was I was using my talents, but I was using them in a way where I wouldn't want to inconvenience other people, scare other people, hurt other people because of their not inconsistency, their inadequacies, their feelings of inadequacy and their weakness. You know, people can't handle truth and people can't handle power. So I would kind of water it down because I do poetry and rap and motivational speaking. And he said, don't water it down anymore. And he said, now you got more fire in you, and if anybody gets in your way with nonsense, you're going to blow them away. So, and I started really telling truth to my family and friends. And like part of my vision that I didn't mention was like on another side, like my wife and my son was over here. My family, my ancestors were calling me back home to like a party. And then there was like a big circle over here with almost everybody I ever met, and especially the people that we fell apart over nonsense, over a word, over a misunderstanding, miscommunication. We fell apart. And I was like, I can't leave here, God, without patching that up. Like, that ain't right. I don't want to leave here like that. And I definitely don't want to leave my family, you know. So, to make a long story short, me and God had a strong conversation, you know, that I'll always remember. And it's something that most people will never understand, but that's okay. So now I walk around like I'm on the outside looking in because most people don't seem to get it. I'm looking at people like, y'all just rolling around with your heads in the sand being robots for people and not really being happy with your life and just, you know, being mediocre, not really coming out of your comfort zone. And trying to, and you know, it is hard. It's hard to take a risk and everything. It's hard out here, but you're gonna die anyway. So like 50 said, get rich or die trying. You know, it's not so much about being rich. which is nice to be rich, but it's more about you're going to die anyway, so die doing your thing. Die serving God. Die helping people. Die serving your family. And for the men and the black men, like all this, we all trying to be, not all, a lot of us trying to be so much into the entertainment. The ladies too, all this housewives of this, that, and real hip hop, blah, 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 blah. Take care of your family. God and family. And brothers, when you really grind and be responsible for your family and you watch them love you and grow up and grow towards you and rely on you and you rely on them and it's interdependence, there's no feeling like that. That's better than any high you could have. And you say, yo, I raised a family. I made a difference in somebody's life. I made somebody, to be better than what I was. So yes, I thank God for life, and I thank you for listening. And my name is Kamal Amani. That's my pen name. That's my righteous name. That's my stage name. But my government name is Terrence Oates. I say that because I'm a teacher, and I have a lot of students, and I want everybody to be able to find me. And find this and know that it's good to be here. It's good to be here because y'all have no idea. But some of y'all that know, hit me up and whatever. If anybody has questions or comments, testimonies, hit me up, because a lot of people don't get to talk about their experiences with COVID, and I have lost people. Like one of my favorite uncles, at this point, my only uncle, he walked in the Bronx. He walked in the hospital and never came back. And like 2 days before that, I was talking to him and he seemed fine. But he just walked in and that was at the time when you came in, you wasn't coming back out. Period. They didn't see him no more. Wife couldn't see him. No funeral, nothing. Horrible. And when I was in there, rest in peace to Kay Slay. Kay Slay was in there. Her Kid Capri had it. I know Kid Capri's all right now, God bless, but Kay Slay, rest in peace. He didn't make it. And it was like, what? I was trying to hit these people on Instagram when I was in there, like trying to yo, I'm in this too, like encouraging them. That was sad. Sad. My wife had it when I had it. She didn't have it as bad, but she had it. She was so worried about me. My son was so strong. He was only 16. But I'm here. So renew your spirit, renew your purpose, self-examine, let go of the drama, get rid of all the drama, and be happy that you are alive, that you are a miracle. We are all miracles. Just to be here, we're miracles. To wake up today is a miracle. To be born is a miracle. When you really stop and think about being born, that's a miracle. Being alive, that's a miracle. So put on the whole armor of God. Peace and love. Thank you for listening. Come on. Out.